So I thought I'd put together a quick video here just showing you how to flip a hub on a M35A2 deuce and a half. Mine has been shortened to, or bobbed as they call it, a 4x4. So I'll show you probably the reason why you want to do it. If you've got 395 tires on Deuce rims, basically that's what it looks like when it's flipped, and that's what it looks like when it's not flipped. That's actually an A3 rim on that side. But the reason you want to flip them basically is to get clearance. If you have a Deuce bed or this is an M105 trailer bed on the back of this truck. But the reason you want to flip it basically is so that you don't chew up your tires. This I did a long time ago before I flipped it. So if you do any kind of articulation with the rims, they will dig into the side of the bed and chew up your tires. So these are old, so I'm not worried about it. But I'm putting on a new set of A3 rims. So I'll just get into the details of how to actually flip that. But you can see when it's flipped here in this situation, you have a lot more clearance in the back. Now the tire does stick out from the truck a lot more than when it's not flipped. But the A3 rims are a little bit different. These are I paid a pretty penny for, but they have better clearance in here. I got an extra couple inches on the inside, so I can leave them unflipped and not have to worry about chewing up the tires. So anyway, I'll get it just into the quick details of how to actually flip the hub. And I'm going to take a couple of different shots here, videos. I'll piece them all together, make one. But just to show you exactly how to get in there and flip that out, you basically have to take the whole axle out and do all that jazz. Might as well do a hub service at the same time. I recommend looking at the Tactical Repair. His videos are fantastic on this subject, and he's extremely knowledgeable and has some great videos. So if you're going to do that, take that apart. I'm not going to get into all the details again of what he does and all the things you should and shouldn't do. So go ahead and watch one of his videos, or a couple of them. Highly recommend it if you're going to get into this kind of service. So got the tire off. Actually just did a bunch of needle scaling under here, and I'm going to rust proof this while I have the tire off. But basically, when it comes to flipping the hub, what's going to happen is you have to take this off. This is the axle. The whole axle is going to come out. I'd suggest getting a bucket or something to put underneath there, because the gear oil will drip out a little bit, because it does come through the shaft and lubricates the inside of this. So you take that off. You're going to have to get the axle nut off, take the whole piece out. Basically what you're going to do is basically turn this around. This piece right here is bolted into the cover there, and there's another set of bolts like this on the inside that are all wired together. And what you basically got to do is unbolt that, flip it, and bolt it back on the opposite way, and then take these bolts out, hammer them out. I suggest putting the nuts on them first, and then hammering them, just so you don't mess up the threads. You screw that on there. I forget this. This is the driver's side, so left is tighty, right is loosey. And if you don't know that, on the Deuce, the driver's side lugs are all threaded in reverse. So you hammer these out. I like to hammer them out with the nut on there. That way it doesn't destroy anything. And just a couple quick blows with the sledgehammer is usually what does it. So I'll get to that later, but basically you have to take everything apart. So if you're going to do that, might as well service the hub. And again, look at Tactical Repair, his videos. He does a great job, but you are going to need special tools for this. I got myself one that shows this takes off the axle nut pretty easily. You can do it with some wrenches or whatever, plumbing wrenches if you wanted to, but it's just, if you're going to get in there, you're going to have a Deuce, you might as well get one of these. If you don't have heavy duty tools to take the wheels off, I got one of these from Harbor Freight. It does a pretty good job. It's a 3/4 inch, and it does a pretty good job. So anyway, that's what we're going to get into, flipping this back. Now this is already flipped, so if you want to flip them, this is what it's going to look like at the end of it. But I want to flip them back because I'm putting the A3 rims on it. So it's basically the same thing, just in reverse. Okay, so I got the hub off. Everything's nice and clean in there, nice and dry, which is the way you want to see it. My grease was a bit wet, kind of sloppy and slimy. Not the way the grease is nice and tacky like it's supposed to be. I think what was happening was the seal, that seal there, which I'm not cleaning up because I'm replacing it, I think what happens is the gear oil comes through the shaft here, lubricates the axle, which is laying right there. So if it gets past that seal, then the gear oil is going to start to mix with the grease in your bearings, which is exactly what happened on the other side. It was totally, the grease was out of it, but luckily the bearings were still in good shape. That comes down to that little keyhole there. You got to put some gasket maker in there. Again, watch the Tactical Repair, his videos. You put some of that, you clean out that keyhole there and put some of that actual the gasket maker in that against the seal, so that the gear oil doesn't get past the seal and into your bearings. And I think that's what was starting to happen on this side, because it was kind of sloppy grease that was in there. So anyway, as far as flipping the hubs go, you've got the bolts in there with safety wire in between, because you don't want those coming off down the road. I recommend getting some new wire and tying it up if you can't reuse the old one. Sometimes the old ones are just, once you twist them too many times, that's it. But anyway, that's how you take that part off, and then you actually flip it. And you gotta, like I said before, hammer out the bolts, flip them around, and then put it all back together again. So that's what I'm gonna do. Repack the bearings, take that apart, do some rust proofing while I'm underneath this bitch, because she's getting kind of rusty. So that's it. All right, so I got the hub apart, and I put the nuts back on. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on a couple of 2x4s where the stud is in between. Then I'm gonna smack it with a sledgehammer to break those free. Once I got them all out, I'm gonna flip it and then hammer them back in again. So again, if you're flipping the hub, you're doing all this in reverse. I'm basically unflipping it and putting it back the way it was. But I do recommend putting those bolts on there. You don't want to smack that stud without a nut on it, because then you'll start screwing up the thread. And also thread them in there pretty good. Don't just turn them a couple times, because if you get it on there pretty good, you'll have less of a chance of screwing up any kind of thread problem there. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, got the hub all back together again. So this is what it looks like when you unflip it, I guess. So I actually just wanted to show you something real quick, because I just put this new seal in, brand new seal, and you can see I tweaked it just a little bit. I over tightened it, and that little piece almost broke off. And since I have 2 extra, I figured I just might put a nice new one on there. That's the seal that's keeping the grease separate from the axle gear oil. So what you got to do is now, what I got to do is clean out this little keyhole thing there, and the keyway, and clean that all out real nice and get all the grease out of it, and then pump some of the stuff in there in between the locking tab and the second nut. And then I'm also going to use this instead of the axle. There's just gaskets that come with that. I just like to smear a bunch of this stuff on it. It seems to do a pretty good job. It's just a bunch of gear oil in there anyway, and this is a gasket for gear oil. So the amount of times I take this thing apart anyway, I figured I'll be burning through those little cork rings, or what, paper gaskets, whatever they are. So anyway, that's pretty much it. And hope you enjoyed it.